Okay, Podsters, this is it. This is your tipping point, your moment to take action or live with never knowing what could have been. We all have that thing that we know we are meant to do that scares us, that we're not sure we can do, and that we know we need a little help doing. My Do the Thing Fall Retreat is happening October 13th through 15th in where else? Cape Cod, in the tranquil seaside town of Truro, where I've hand-selected a beach house for 9 like-minded women to get together and do the thing. You already know that there's a life waiting for you on the other side of this thing. And this powerful, intimate 2.5-day workshop is exactly what you need. If you don't do it now, you probably never will. Don't live with regret. Do the thing. Click the link, fill out the very brief application. Let's hop on a call because I want to make sure it's the right fit for you. Together, let's do the thing. Welcome to Unmute Yourself, the podcast. I'm Nancy Medoff, keynote speaker, best-selling author, executive coach, and equity evangelist who literally wrote the book on women in confidence.
And I'm Beth Knaus, creative copywriter who works with female entrepreneurs who are done putting safe and general content out there and ready to walk the fine line between honoring their bold voices and perspectives and honoring their professionalism. We are on fire and on a mission to inspire and empower you, and who are we kidding? The world, to speak up, stand out, and get your seat at the table. If you're looking for straight talk and a weekly shot of confidence, you've landed in the right place.
Beth and I met while collaborating on my #1 bestseller, Unmute Yourself and Speak Up to Stand Out. We hit it off and we knew right away that we needed to keep these important conversations going so that women around the globe will speak up and stop building our own glass ceiling. So here we are, coming at you weekly with a perfect blend of realistic strategies, actionable tools, and real life stories to bring these important and somewhat controversial ideas to life. Doing so with humor, kindness, and the occasional shenanigans.
Get ready to feel empowered and inspired to speak up, to stand out, and to build your confidence toolkit. Note to men or women who are not working in a professional capacity, we see you too, and we promise you the conversations here will inspire you as well. So buckle up, folks, because here we go.
We're back.
Here we are once again.
We're back. Beth's pumped. We're back and Beth's pumped.
Yep.
Woo. How you doing? How are you today?
I'm doing okay. I'm excited.
You're excited. Can you hear the cough drop in my mouth? If you can, I won't leave it in there. Can you hear it like rattling around?
No.
Okay. Great. Give me the sign if you can.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So I hope Podsters, all of you are doing excellent. It is time for my shout out because I did say if you reach out, you get a shout out. You love up on us. We live up on you. Love up, excuse me. Joanna, my friend. Joanna is in Germany, I believe. Listens to the podcast, liked the book, all that stuff. So thank you, Joanna, for reaching out. And we like you too.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do. Okay. So what are we going to talk about today, Beth?
Well, we're going to talk about something that I really like your perspective about. We are talking about the power of the 5 whys. And I really like this because I have always struggled with people who walk around with, you have to know your why. You have to know your why. You have to know your why. And you know how I am. I'm a little bit of, I'm a resistance rebel from the things that everyone jumps onto. But I really like how you kind of dissect this concept. So
great. So I love it. And I use this tool all the time. I would love to take credit for inventing it. I cannot. This was actually well, let me talk about why you do it first. So what we're talking about is when you want to get down to any kind of behavior change or any kind of clarity. or any kind of searching, for lack of a better term. It's very effective to ask yourself why you are doing this, why you are looking for this outcome, why you are actioning this. So whatever the situation is. So let's say you are ready to transition your career. I would ask you, if you were coaching with me, why is this important to you now? The power of the 5 whys is that you continue to ask yourself this question. And I know you will be surprised, Podsters. I have a tool for this. It's a 5 why worksheet. I'll put the link in the show notes. So you keep asking yourself why your previous answer was important to you. So let's say I want to lose weight. The question is, why do you want to lose weight right now? And I might say, because I am sick of feeling like crap. Well, why is it important to you that you feel better? So I would think about that. Why is it important to me to feel better? Okay, it's important to me that I feel better because I am approaching the back 9, and I would like the rest of my life I want to truly thrive. I want to be in great shape. I want energy. Okay. Well, why is that important to you, right? So you're at the back 9. You want energy. You want to be able to thrive. Why do you think that's so important to you? So you would go deeper and you would say, because all my life I have kind of gone back and forth with feeling good about myself, and I am sick of not always feeling good about myself. The time is now. Why? Okay, well, why do you feel that the time is now? So by the time you do this 5 times, you get down to some heavy stuff, usually. And for me, at the time when I did this a few years ago, it was because I have less time left than has passed. And if I don't start living my truth in terms of my health and fitness now, I never will, and I won't be able to. And if I don't start doing this now, I won't be able to, because I will not physically be able to. And okay, why is that important? I don't want to end up old and alone, sitting in a wheelchair, looking out the window in a nursing home. So I'm not getting choked up, guys. This is, I have my throat, my throat is a little sore. So, excuse me. So it's going to go in and out. So as you continue to go down deeper and deeper and deeper, you really uncover the true why. And that is difficult. That can bring up a lot of issues. You will likely face some resistance. And I promise you that when you get to that last why, 9 times out of 10, there's an epiphany. There is a reason that you had no idea, was not even close to being on your radar. Beth just gave me a big head nod, so I'm going to pause and ask Beth why she's nodding her head at me.
Yes. So I'm nodding my head at you because, first of all, I think that when we're asked about our why in concern to anything, we tend to just say what's on the top of our minds and not take the time to dig deep. But when you invest in what's really going on a little bit deeper and you have an epiphany like that, it's just so rewarding, right? To really find out what's at the heart of it. It makes it easier to follow that why, right? To stay committed to it. Mm-hmm. Rather than, like, for me, a lot of this is business related, because people will say, people want to know your why. And you often hear people say, because I want to help people. And that's lovely. And we all want to help people, but that's not the only why. That's your surface why and your general why. And everybody's going to like when I say this why. But there's usually some deeper reason, further down, further back. And sometimes we don't even know it, right? We don't know that connection. But you should, because that's really the passionate piece of the why.
Yes. And that will keep you going. That will keep you going when your motivation wanes. And that will keep you going when you get frustrated. If you're building your own business, you will be frustrated more often than not, probably. That will keep you going. And that will keep you, we talked in the last episode about engineering the life you love. This will help you keep that commitment. And in this case that I used, that was a real life example. it wasn't my 5 whys. I can't remember what they were, to be honest with you, but it was something very close to that. That kept me going. So when I didn't feel like doing the strength training, let's say, I thought about, if you don't get strong now, you won't be able to get strong later. And that kept me focused. So the person that brought this to me is Lauren Bradley. She is a health coach. I believe she's taken a break from health coaching. Lauren, if you're listening, please reconsider. A lot of people need you. Anyway, and it was great. So then I adapted it for my career coaching and when I work with women on what they want to do next. And I'm going to share two stories. I'm going to share, one of them was very recent and the other one wasn't. So I'm going to share the least most recent story first, because it applies to either understanding your side hustle or your small business and what drives you, or it can help you understand why you do what you do and if you should be doing what you're doing in the corporate world. So I was speaking with a friend and I was mentoring her, and she's going to know exactly what I'm talking about because she often references this moment. She was in sales her whole life, and I said, well, what do you like about sales? And she said, I like building relationships. And I said, okay. And she said, and I like talking to people. And I'm like, okay. And she was giving me kind of surface answers. And finally I said to her, this was before I had the 5 whys in my toolkit. I said, what are you even talking about? Nobody, like, you like ringing the cash register for your boss. That's why you love what you do. What is it? Why do you love sales? Why do you love connecting people? What is it? Why do you love to do this? And it turns out she loves community, not sales, community. And there's a reason why she loves community, and it's based on a trauma that happened to her in her past with her family. And she knows better than most why community is important. So she had subconsciously made this her mission. And she ended up, by the way, going on to then pursue that. She now has a whole intentional living business. She is locked and loaded on community. So we went from, I like relationship building and I like sales, to, you know what, I know how important community is, and this is what drives me, and this is what I'm going to dedicate all my energy to. I mean, like, wow, what a difference, right?
Yes.
That's not a, they can't hear you nod.
That can't hear me.
Spoiler alert. No.
Can't hear my hair shaking or anything?
No. So tell me about, you said you come up to this, you experience this with some of your clients when they're trying to articulate their why. Did I remember that correctly?
Yeah, I think that, again, dealing in like a heavily female populated community, I think that there's a lot behind it. This is probably a whole other episode, but the first reaction always is, I want to help people. And I think we talked lovingly and respectfully not too long ago about the difference between a jobby and a career. And a lot of the times women have an issue saying, I want to make money to support my family so we never have to be homeless again, or something a little more vulnerable and personal. And we don't like to say, I'm doing this because I'm good at it and I want to make money, right? Like, we shy away from saying that piece of it for whatever reason. It doesn't feel great. But, people who walk around and say, I want to make money, there's a why for that too, right? That goes.
Oh, 100%.
And so, it's, and it takes time. It takes time to, I think, to look at it and feel safe opening up to it and going to what's underneath, because do we want to help people? We all want to help people, right? I mean, that's nice and that's lovely, but we also want validation for the fact that we're good at something. We want to know our worth, and we want to know it in praise, and we want to know it in dollars, and we have reasons for all our stuff.
And we have big reasons. So you said there's a why to why people might want to make a lot of money. And I would say also there is a why to why people think they want to make a lot of money and then sabotage themselves so that they don't make a lot of money.
Yes.
So anytime I'm stuck somewhere and I can't figure out what's going on, I always go back to this, and it's not always fun. I got to tell you, it brings up some painful stuff. It does. It really does. I mean, that's how I remember the bullying story. Was I've totally forgotten about that.
Mhm.
I remembered something that happened to me when I was like probably 7, and I had no I know with certainty that this is a real memory. I hadn't thought about it in 40 years because
Mhm.
I was thinking to myself, and this was over a long period of time, right? Like why is this so important to me? And it was a blockbuster. It was a blockbuster. It was a blockbuster. And actually, so I've often said that I made it my life's mission, excuse me, to help women speak up because I um somebody taught me how to speak up and then didn't speak up for herself. And then, so this is right, this was in my book, and this has been for 5 years that I've been saying this. It wasn't until a couple weeks ago that I realized, because I kept asking myself the why. Not, I didn't sit down and say why. I was just like, you know what, this something else is going on here. What is it? That I saw the women in my life growing up um, never speak up, and I saw them get reprimanded for speaking up, and I saw them, excuse me, get penalized for speaking up. And I remember thinking to myself, that's not going to happen to me. And I'm not going to let that happen to anyone else. I share this because there are so many layers to this. So many layers. So
Right.
many layers. It's like an onion. It's like an onion.
Yes.
For those of you with college kids, I mean, I think it would be kind of a fun exercise to really drill down with the kids is, well, why is this your number one school? Or kids who are about to go to college. Why do you want to go to Notre Dame? Why do you want to go to whatever, San Diego State, whatever it is? It's is it just the sports program, or is there something else? Is it because it's far away? Is it because it's close? And if they say, I want to go here because it's far away, right? Like, why do you think it's important to get that far away from us? Because of this. Well, why is that important to you? And it's usually around that fifth one that the breakthroughs happen. And it will be awkward. It will be awkward if you try it with someone, and it will be awkward when you do it with yourself.
Right. I was just going to say, it is really a great idea to do it with somebody else that you feel safe and comfortable with, because, you know, if you get to a point where you don't want to push yourself any further, you can get distracted by something, conveniently. And if you're
Mm-hmm.
with someone else, they're going to hold you to finish, right? Because it's when you get down into that third, fourth, fifth layer that you start to go, I think I'm going to go get a snack.
For sure. I got to go clean my closet. I would say also come back to it. I just did this. I'm doing a Speak Up to Stand Out series on the Outer Cape, a virtual program, and I did it with the women on the call, and a couple of them really struggled with it, which I understood. Of course, we all do. And I said, you know what, go home and think about it. Let's talk about it next week. And they came back next week, and there was some blockbuster whys on there. You know, there was some really blockbuster whys, and every single one of them went back to their childhood. Every single one.
Yeah.
But that's a different episode.
Yes. It's a totally different episode. It's its own series.
I
Trauma
think it
from
might be.
childhood.
And that'll be a fun one. Let's talk about our childhood trauma, everybody.
So much fun.
Always fun. So I want to share this quick story that I was telling you about, and I did tell this friend that I would share the story. So I may have told it already. I tell it a lot. So over the holidays, I went to visit a dear friend of mine who I adore, and we were going to get our hair blown out. That is my happy place, and I love doing that. And so very casual. We're in the car driving to the place, and we were talking about travel. She travels quite a bit. She travels for work, and she also travels for personal, and she loves traveling, and so do I. So I said, very casually, I had no intention of going down this road. I said, why do you think we love to travel so much? Like, why do you love to travel so much? I thought for sure she was going to say, I like meeting other people and experiencing other cultures and other food. Like, that's why I like to go. I love to hear people's stories. And she said, I don't know. I mean, because I think, I think it's interesting, and I want to be interesting. And I was like, that's interesting, right? So I said, okay. I said, well, why do you think it's so important to be interesting? And this was a true, I hadn't kicked in here yet. She said, well, because if you're interesting, people will be interested. People will be interested in you, and you'll have conversations, and you'll be interesting. And it might have gone the other way. She might have said interested first and interesting after. Anyway, so then I was kicking in, and I'm like, okay, this is where this something's happening here. So we drove a couple more minutes, and I'm like, so why do you think being interested is so important? I go, that's kind of random. Like, where's that come from? What do you think? She said, well, she goes, I don't, I mean, well, I think that, and this is her talking, right? She said, I think that, you know, it's just, it's awful if you're not interesting. And it's just awful. Who doesn't want to be interesting? And I'm like, something's up here. So we pull into the parking spot. She puts the car in park. And I said, why are you so afraid of not being interesting? Why is that so, like, this is something here. She said, because if you're not interesting, you're going to end up alone, dying alone in your nursing home. And both of us, and by the way, this was a serious moment. I'm laughing because, first of all, we cracked up about it afterwards because we were like, hello, where did that come from? Both of us just kind of took a step back and our eyes widened, and we were both just kind of let out a collective sigh. We were like, whew. And her mom, when she passed away in a nursing home, and she was by herself. And I think she was by herself. Her father might have been with her, but and I was like, wow. I mean, we went from, oh, I love to travel, to here's my biggest fear, or here's one of my biggest fears. And this was in a span of seconds. It was a minute or less. So, I mean, it works, people. It works.
It does. It does. You got to take some time, dig a little deeper, take a breath.
Take a breath. Speaking of taking a breath, I'm going to take a breath and let Beth share. I don't know if you'll have it handy. Like, did we do this? Did I ever do this with you? Did we ever do this?
What, the why?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we have.
Any epiphanies over there that you care to share with your national, global?
Yeah. So I think the thing that you said that clicked for me was that, if you're with a group of people and suddenly you bring it up and say, oh, we're going to do this now, then they're like, something's up with this, right? They're not prepared. But when you're prepared and you're thinking about it, I mean, I think I'm that type of thinker anyway, to think about, why am I doing this kind of thing, and so for me, I'm like, why do I want to write? And yes, I love to write for other people because people have wonderful skills and they have wonderful talents and experience and perspective, but they don't know how to put it out there. And it's really the thing that separates them. And I am always honored to be able to do that for somebody and to watch what happens afterwards. But like for myself personally, like growing up as a tiny little wafy only child in kind of this really raucous, dysfunctional household, I was quiet a lot, right? Because I was the only target. So I, learned how to camouflage into furniture, slink into another room. Nobody noticed I was gone, but I still wanted to communicate. I think I was always and still remain the type of person who's like, there's a way around this, right? I can get around this. And so I think writing was that for me, right? Because back then it wasn't like it was the computer and it was the universe. I could write it in a journal and I could hide the journal, or, I could write stuff down that I wouldn't say out loud or to someone's face, unless I want to get my butt beat. But I think it was just like, oh, I'm going to still communicate, and that's how I'm going to do it. And now I'm at this point where I'm like, I like to write and put things out there because I know, I can write these things that kind of catch people, that can be snarky and just on the edge, and it makes people think. And it's not loud, right? And it's not on the radio or anything. It's something that they read, that they have to stop and read over again. And I think there's really something cool about that.
I think there's something wicked cool about that. So would you say that writing helped you feel heard?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
I think that's why you're such a great writer and editor. One of the reasons why you're such a great writer and editor. And that's one of the reasons why we bonded over this book.
Yes.
Was, by the way, for those of you who are new to the podcast, we're talking about the book that Beth edited and that I wrote. It's called Unmute Yourself and Speak Up to Stand Out. The book is about being heard.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we're both that's why you're so passionate about it. That's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
All right.
I had one other thing really quick before we left, and now I can't find it.
Woo.
Oh, here it is. Yeah, so this ties back to some episodes that we just covered. So why am I sabotaging myself? I mean, that's kind of a one answer, but maybe not. You might have to use the 5 whys on that. I did, and that was back in January 31st. And then we talked about success mapping on January 17th. That was like goal setting. When you're setting your goals is a great time to do this. A career change. What kind of business do I want to be in? What do I want to let go of? Like you can use this for all kinds of things.
Yes.
And I think we can leave it at that. So what's the call to action, Beth?
So I would like to say, I mean, you can do this activity by yourself, but first of all, try the activity, right? And to also maybe do it with somebody else that you do feel that's safe with, that you can kind of pull each other, nudge each other a little bit to go just that one step deeper that could give you that epiphany.
Yes, and it has to be someone you trust.
Absolutely.
Has to be someone you trust. Fun fact, my husband strongly resists this. Will not do it with me.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And he listens to the podcast, by the way.
Wow.
So this is my way of shaming him. Publicly shaming. Okay, so Podsters, the link is going to be in the show notes. And as always, keep in touch with us. Let us know how it's going. If you like us, please, please, please give us a review on either Apple or Spotify. I think that's it, right?
I think so, right. And, keep listening. If you haven't heard the right thing yet, you will. We promise you. Somewhere in there will be the thing for you.
Promise. Okay, with that, we're out.
We're out.
That's a wrap, Podsters. If you were thinking of someone as you were listening to this, share it. If you nodded along and even shouted out a couple of yes, leave us a review. Please, please, please. If you want to make sure you don't miss next week's episode, hit that follow button.
And you can find us everywhere. And if you would like to learn more about us and exactly what we do, take a look in the show notes for our deets. See you
next week.
Podsters.